It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara. He's Eric Harley. You know, looking at that proposed law in Maryland that would require liability insurance for carrying any gun loaded.
Yeah.
And you look at it, it would be, in essence, it would be a de facto registration of all vehicles, of all guns, would it not?
Yeah. Because you're going to have to register with the state that you have insurance. You're going to have to show to them that you have insurance. It's one way of tracking how many legal gun owners you have.
I couldn't figure this out from the bill. Is it one $300,000 liability? Is it for, because you could carry two guns. Would there be more if you carried two guns?
That's a good question. Is it per gun?
Is it per gun? Is it?
Because you might hear back from the insurance companies that, the type of gun would determine the cost of the policy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because if you say to yourself, let's say you're filling out a policy, what's the gun used for? Hunting. All right. How often do you hunt? Well, it's not every day. It's not every weekend.
Just like how many miles do you drive?
Right. Yep. An RV. Do you live in it, or is it recreational only?
And then you need to tell the truth to the insurance company like I do. I drive 5 miles a year.
Right. Exactly. And you're so old, they believe you.
He doesn't have the strength to push the gas pedal.
Yeah.
He's an old man.
And plus, he's a safe driver because his blinker's always on. Blinker's always on discount.
That happened to me the other day. I came off a highway. I had to make, and the ramp turns to the right, and so I had my the blinker on, and it's like a mile past down the road, residential road. I look down and go, oh, my blinker's still on.
Yeah.
But sometimes there is a logical excuse.
Right.
The music's blasting.
Yeah, you don't hear it because the music's gone.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm being an unsafe driver with loud music.
Well, exactly. My truck will, after a while, it will, like all modern vehicles, it will tell you, dude, your blinker's on.
Oh, okay. This is my old vehicle where I always make that mistake.
Yeah.
There's too many, with the side view mirrors having the blinker on them and everything. Mm-hmm. You really can't get away with it. It's like, jeez, blinkers are on.
Yeah.
It's the old vehicle.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting that basically it's de facto registration of all your weapons.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. List them and also because the insurance company is likely to ask you this, then that information about how you use them, when you use them, how often you use them, all that's going to be trackable.
Here's a question. Since there is it's negligible those that, have a handgun legally commit any crimes, and the odds are no one, the odds are 99.99 something % of Americans will never shoot their handgun unless they're at the range.
Mm-hmm.
Then how is that different than having a hunting rifle and hunting 10 times a year, where you actually do shoot it out of a controlled area? How much would that increase your insurance?
Yeah, it's going to be about how often and when you use that gun.
Right.
That's going to determine what you pay.
Now, would Dick Cheney have a higher rate?
Only for lawyers. Lawyer liability. Lawyer liability. You know you're powerful when the guy you shot apologizes to you. Seriously. What? So sorry for the grief that shooting me has caused you.
Very quickly on this topic, I saw this one. Kentucky kids could soon face classroom cell phone ban. Thanks to the common sense bill, get distractions out. Why does this state have to do this? Why can't a local school district do it? That's just a rule. Sorry, your cell phone's off. You're in classroom.
A teacher can do that within the school district.
A teacher, right, forget about the school district. The teacher alone can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Why does the state have to pass the rule?
Yeah, they don't.
Just my first question, because I'm guessing my great-nephew that whenever I text him during the day, never texts me back till 3-4 hours later when he's out of school because he can't get the message because all cell phones are off.
Same thing with my oldest grandchildren, my 4 oldest. And I thought, okay, yeah, the school has their, phones, makes them turn them off. Can't do that in classroom. Turns out they just don't like me. So there's that.
But I just saw that story and I saw it hyped up on social media. And, it's a bunch of people saying, yes, we've got to make sure. And I go, yeah, but that's not, I understand that point because I don't believe the cell phone should be on.
That's enforceable by the teacher.
During class. Why are we talking about the state of Kentucky having to do it?
Right.
You mean local school districts can't do it and an individual school teacher can't just say, all cell phones off. These are the rules in my class.
Right.
No, a student has a right to have their cell phone on. I mean, is anybody arguing that point?
No.
Okay, I just didn't. Is there something in schools that are keeping schools in the state of Kentucky from saying your cell phone must be off? Is there a cell phone kids' bill of rights that I don't know about?
Not that I'm aware of.
Because it just was sort of dumb. It's like,
yeah, we can already do that.
yeah.
We don't need the state's help on that.
Does the state have to have a rule saying kids must sit down at their desk?
Right.
Or can the teacher just say, sit down?
Yeah, right.
Sit down and shut up. Hold it. Did the state approve that?
It's not state law.
When Miss Ladd picked me up by my earlobes.
Yeah.
Did the state of New York back then have to approve that? Or did she do that on her own?
I'm guessing that was on her own. Although it is New York.
And she did. By both top of the earlobes. I remember I heard a crack. I was like, is that cartilage in there?
Yeah, what is?
I had no permanent pain, but things were different back then, weren't they?
Yeah.
Other stuff out there. Almost 60% of parents are giving their adult kids money.
Mm-hmm.
Young adults are increasingly living with their parents and relying on them for financial support. Pew Research found that more young adults today live with their parents than in the past. Among those 18 to 24, 57% are living in their parents' home compared to, 53% in 1993. I would have thought it would have been lower. Only have 4 percentage points. Roughly 59% of parents say they gave their adult children help with their finances over the past year.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of young adults who live with the parents, 64%, said the arrangement has had a positive impact on their personal financial situation. Some 55% say the impact on their relationship with their parents have been positive. Well, if you're getting free stuff.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, wait, you mean having no bills and getting free food? and cable and internet, all that's a positive? Wait a minute. What? Yeah. Let's talk to the parents about that.
Yeah, we had, if you went to college, in my house, you didn't have to pay any rent. But as soon as you were done that week, you paid. And if you didn't go to college, you paid.
Yep. Same.
You paid rent.
Right. Yeah. You're not gonna get by for free.
Yeah. It was the opposite. It was, okay, you need to do your part.
Yeah.
Now, I did think, the fool that I was, when after college, I'm trying to think how long I was, maybe a year or so. When maybe I can't remember, but I did think that because then I was paying for, board, because it was rent and food.
Mm-hmm.
The idiot I was, I thought I got out of chores because of that, and that didn't happen.
No.
Cutting the lawn, all that stuff was still a part of what I was required to do.
Yeah.
And I decided not to argue that with Dad either.
Probably a good idea. Probably a good idea.
Like, I can't remember. I don't remember how much I paid or what that would extrapolate out to today. But we had to pay, and it was like, every. And I don't think it was nobody. I don't think any of the kids were angry when it happened. It was just an expectation. It was like, that's what you do. You're on your own now. You pay.
Yeah. Right.
So. But let me see. A majority of young adults, 64% said the arrangement had a positive impact. 55% said the impact on their relationship with their parents have been positive. Many young adults also help their parents with bills and other expenses while living with home, as they should. And by the way, even when I did live at home and help my parents, it was cheaper than living on the outside. So you were able to save money. And you knew
you still have a huge benefit.
Yeah, and that was part of it. In fact, that was really my dad pounding that into my head. All right, you get a little bit of rent break. We love having you here. A little bit. You don't got to pay as much. You need to be saving money on this. I want to see you saving money if you're going to. There are always demands, always demands, always demands. Still today, he's still telling me what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's the portion. I don't know to what extent. I don't know what the percentage is. But, a lot of us adults that have become caretakers, while I don't live with my parents, I can tell you that my sister practically does.
And
she doesn't live with them, but she's over there at least 5 days a week. She lives 15 minutes from their house. And so I have a neighbor who is a caretaker of his mom, who was widowed a couple of years ago. And so that becomes something where it's actually for at least one of the children usually necessary in many of those cases.
Yeah. Same in my family. Same thing. Yep.
And it's a good thing. It's a good thing that I feel blessed to have a sister who she and her husband chose to be closer to them. He works from home, retired Air Force, but he works from home in his current job. And so they can live anywhere, and they chose to relocate to be close to our parents and his parents. So, I'm blessed that for that to be the case. And it would be me. If it's ever required, I would have no problem in doing that. But what you're seeing is a lot of those in the 20 to 40-year-old range. It's a regular thing. One of the things that you can watch with the economy of like Japan, it became something that wasn't really, a lot of people would write it off as, well, it's cultural to have multi-generations living at home in Japan. It may be to a small extent, but it became more about their economy being in the tank for so long that really the next generation just quit moving out. They may have gone to college, but they would quickly then move home. And then you do have 2, maybe even 3 generations living under one roof. And it's a normal thing. And it's because the economy just isn't there for everybody to get their own place. And right now, I'm guessing that's why we're seeing the increase in adults living with their family, their parents right now here.
866-90 Red Eye.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
The producer's approach to farm operation and succession planning is moving away from the concept of a family farm and more towards a family business. That, according to the University of Missouri, Scott Brown, who adds this is due in part to realization that technological investment and diversification is needed.
When the family members come back, they're looking at different forms of agriculture to be their part. It's all about risk diversification. When you look at just how volatile markets have been, technology plays a key role in that. Today, you cannot avoid too long investing in new technology because there's returns to that technology.
Diversification, according to Iowa State University's Chad Hart, includes a greater effort towards direct marketing to consumers, such as 2 Indiana sisters carving their niche on a family farm.
Doing it in a way where it's wide open in terms of the conversations they have. No idea is off the table. Mom and dad are wide open to those kinds of conversations. They're both heavily involved.
I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara. You know, as we look at some different studies that have been surveys, polling that has been done, actually. The one there, 60% of parents, or 60% of parents still giving their adult kids money while the majority of adult kids live at home. And then you see this one. This also came out the last couple of days. There's a couple of money stories we want to throw your way. A $1,000 unexpected emergency expense could derail the lives of more than half of all Americans, according to a new survey. Survey was conducted by Bankrate, a financial analysis and comparison site. Bankrate found that only 44% of Americans surveyed could afford a $1,000 emergency expense. That's with cash, okay? That's with cash.
Right.
That number is actually up 1 percentage point from the previous year. Those 56% who could not weather the storm said they would address that unexpected emergency charge in other ways. Most, 21%, would use a credit card. 10% would borrow from loved ones. 4% would take out a personal loan. Only 16% said they would reduce their spending to address an unexpected emergency expense. Wow. Wow. Nearly 2/3, 63% of Americans said inflation was causing them to save less for emergencies. On the flip side, 19% said they were actually saving more for emergencies, specifically because rising interest rates, which are friendly to those putting away extra money into their savings account, which is eaten up by inflation. Inflation has been a key culprit standing in the way of further progress on the savings front, said the analyst. Fortunately, rising interest rates have also provided more generous returns on savings. More on this coming up. And, another really interesting financial story, too, also out there coming up.
Music reviewers and sometimes political commentators, Eric Harley and Gary McNamara on Red Eye Radio.
Yeah, whatever. He's Eric Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara, 866-90 Red Eye. All right, looking at some of these this new polling on people's finances, inflation has been a key culprit standing in the way of further progress on the savings front. Fortunately, rising interest rates have also provided more generous returns on savings for people who can save. But right now, the vast majority of the people, 56%, could not come up with $1,000 cash to pay an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
And if inflation or unexpected emergency isn't scary enough, the prospect of losing one's job is causing stress for many Americans. If they were suddenly to lose their jobs, 2/3 of Americans said they would be worried about how they would cover immediate living expenses for just the next month. Within that figure, 42% said they were very worried. Let me see. So that's it from that particular one. And then the other story that I loved. And maybe when you don't have a lot of money, you do obsess with it. A new study shows that more than 1/4 of millennials and Gen Z generations are obsessed with the idea of being rich, which could be fueling money dysmorphia. Now,
Living like you have money when you don't?
No, even if you have money, you're worried.
Right, but where does the dysmorphia come in?
The study found that 27% of Americans said they're obsessed with the idea of being rich. That was especially true for younger generations, with 44% of Gen Z and 46% of millennials admitting to being obsessed with the idea. The money dysmorphia comes in. They also found that nearly 30% of Americans experience money dysmorphia. The phenomena occurs when people feel insecure about their financial standing, no matter the reality of their situation. The problem was much more pronounced among younger generations, with 43% of Gen Z and 41% of millennials saying they experience money dysmorphia, compared to 25% of Gen X and just 14% of respondents age 59 or above. It sounds like the opposite to me. That doesn't sound like money dysmorphia, that no matter what the reality of their situation, if you have 56% of Americans that cannot come up with $1,000, the majority of those would be younger.
Yeah.
And so when you see that it's 43% of Gen Z and 41% of millennials, that makes sense, compared to 25% of Gen X, and then 14% of respondents ages 59 or above, because you've been around long enough and gone through the different stages, whenever you started your 401k or whatever, but you've acquired more wealth as you get older. So, of course, that would be the situation.
Well, and as you get older, do you understand you're getting closer to a point where you can't earn and you're going to be on a fixed income? And that fixed income, needs to be sufficient. I would say that inflation, where it is now, likely has as many people that are close to retirement age, certainly people that are already retired. We've seen how many people in that group have gone back to work. But if you're getting closer to retirement age, it's going to push that off a bit.
I hope SNL doesn't make fun of me using the term money dysmorphia. It's sort of like debanking. No, money dysmorphia is kind of like today's version of keeping up with the Joneses, says Courtney Alieve, a consumer financial advocate at Credit Karma. A lot of people are examining their finances and comparing themselves to their peers, people on social media, and even celebrities, which is bringing up feelings of inadequacy. That's why every time I think of Taylor Swift, it's not fair. Why aren't I making more?
By the way,
I'm just as talented. Well, not in the same genre.
If, in other ways, if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, the NFL is rigged.
Oh, if I saw it again yesterday.
Yeah,
It was all over the place.
that's rigged.
The NFL's then stop watching. Why do all of you NFL fans continue to watch the NFL when you claim every week when your team loses that it's rigged? Stop watching it.
It's definitely rigged for the Chiefs if they win. Well, look at this, too. And if they don't win, you think she's going to marry him? Ew. Ew. Second place? Ew. She's not getting married.
Well, it says the researcher said the growing trend in having a negative impact on people's finances, especially younger generation of those who experience money dysmorphia. A majority of the respondents, 82%, said they felt behind on their finances because they are.
Yeah,
There may be some, but the majority.
There's no perception
Right.
that you're behind. If you're actually behind, then you have a true perception. There is no dysmorphia whatsoever.
Then they go into the one, more than half of Americans don't ever think they'll be rich. Well, it's the
And the other half are delusional.
Thank you for reading my mind. Oh, my. No, they're the ones out there working 2 jobs. Despite obsessing over the idea of extreme wealth, obsessing over the idea of extreme wealth.
Extreme wealth.
52% of Americans said they don't think they'll ever be rich. The number jumps to 69% when looking at Americans with money dysmorphia. You got to define that better.
Yeah,
than they have, don't
because
they?
it doesn't sound right.
No, it doesn't.
That's not having plenty of money and worried about having money, because the reason people have plenty of money is because they've always worried about having enough money.
Yeah.
It's that attitude that
you're
gets
right.
them, with the exception of a couple of scratch-off tickets here and there, that's what gets you to that point, is that you're worried you won't have enough money when you can no longer earn.
Well, I'll tell you how you can have more money in your lifetime earnings. Mm-hmm. Stop obsessing about quiet quitting.
Well,
or what's the other one? The one about your
act your wage.
Act your wage. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, but they're being given prime examples every day. Jon Stewart's coming back to the Daily Show to quiet quit. Mondays only. And Monday? You chose Monday? You're going to be the executive producer and you chose Monday. What?
I would have taken Thursday.
I would have changed the Daily Show to the Weekly Show with Jon Stewart. Because nobody cares. Tuesday, Wednesday, it'll be guest host. Nobody cares. They're all waiting for John to come back on Monday. And everybody in that equation knows it. Do a weekly show, like his former Daily Show colleague, Oliver, on HBO. Bill Maher. And the rest of them.
Yeah.
Do a weekly show. Do a Friday night show. You can pre-record it. You don't actually have to work Friday. And call it the weekly show.
Bill Maher, I can't play it because there was too much profanity in it, but he had Seth MacFarlane on talking about the narrative of the media and how it's all, how he actually believes the media, and Bill Maher's like, what?
Yeah, right.
What are you talking about? They got a narrative. No, they don't. No, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And as they're talking about the credibility of media, who's sitting in between them? Adam Schiff, the biggest liar that the media has promoted his lies for a significant period of time. And I don't know. I didn't watch the whole show, but I didn't see it anywhere printed that. Well, I can't because I don't have HBO. But I didn't see anywhere where it's in any headline stated. And then Bill Maher said, "Well, talk about having a narrative that has no credibility. Adam Schiff is here with us today."
Exactly.
I heard the debate last week. I just saw the headline. that whoever he's running against, a Republican, pounded him for his lies.
Mm-hmm.
Pounded him for his lies.
Yeah.
Because he absolutely lied to the American people, and he should have been kicked off the Intelligence Committee.
Yeah.
I'm happy he was. That was the absolutely correct move.
Yep.
Because he could not be trusted. He lied to the American public when it was supposed to come. They're putting out publicly what the intelligence agencies knew about Russia collusion, and he didn't tell the American public the truth.
Right.
The
Yeah.
Republicans did. Adam Schiff lied about it.
Yep.
He does not. He is totally, because of that alone, is completely unqualified to be a U.S. senator.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely unqualified.
Yep. By the way, on Bill Maher's podcast, did you see him giving compliments to Barry Weiss?
No.
Yeah, on the podcast. Yeah,
Really?
not his HBO show, but yeah. And I can't remember who was on with him.
For what you mean? You mean the one where they drink?
Yeah, they were drunk.
Be interesting, wouldn't it, to do a show where we could drink?
Yeah.
What would it
I'm
be?
not sure I'd want to.
What would it be by the end of 5 hours? Yeah.
Well, I have trouble enough remembering things.
I know.
Imagine remembering nothing.
So how was your show yesterday? I can't remember. I have no idea.
Did we do a show yesterday? I don't know. Yeah.
But I just love it. More than half of Americans don't think they'll ever be rich. I don't think that I ever had that thought ever come into my mind. Ever.
It was never about being wealthy. It was about being able to take care of myself. My family,
being self-sufficient. Yes, that was a big thing. There was a certain pride in being able to do that. When they talk about so many kids living at home, there was a certain pride to be on your own. I mean, that's why when I was, that's why I worked a couple of jobs through college, not colleges. Well, actually, there were 2 colleges I did go to. But that was actually a benchmark of becoming an adult, was moving out from your parents, becoming independent, becoming autonomous. That's the, that's the entire thing of, being kicked out of the nest, like in nature.
I remember the first time I took my own money and fed myself with it. My mom was at my brother's baseball game on Laughlin Air Force Base, and near the base exchange, they had a little, it's like a little, I don't know, indoor food court type cafe. And I told my mom, I want to go buy my own dinner.
Wow.
And she said, okay, what are you going to get? I said, chicken and French fries. And she said, okay, go ahead. I went over there. I got it. I made one mistake. You know how sugar looks like salt? But it's in a much big, pourable container on the table?
Yes.
Well, that was some sweet chicken and fries. That's all I can say about that. But I loved every second of it. I'll never forget that day.
No, but there's moments in your life when you do something, even as a child, you do things on your own, you accomplish it, you move on.
Yep.
It's like when I was 18 years old and got the job at the bank and, was waiting at the bus stop with all the other business people.
Right.
To go down to work at the bank.
Right.
And, kids would come up because most kids didn't have a job like that. They were really impressed by it. Mm-hmm. And it was more than just them giving me their approval. It was, I knew that I had more value than I ever thought I had just because somebody wanted me to put a shirt and tie on and come and collect other people's bills.
Right. Yep.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara. See that headline? The U.S. Navy lowers bar to enlistment again amid continuing recruiting woes. U.S. Navy will start to enlist applicants who have not graduated from high school or even obtained a GED as they continue to struggle with their recruiting goals. We talked about, there was a story about how you have white men that don't want to join the military anymore.
Right.
That came out about a month ago, and it's like, well, yeah, with DEI, who wants to be in the military when you go in there and you're told you're all a bunch of racists?
Right. Over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.